Okay. All right. So yesterday we covered a lot. We looked into how the SEYD worked. Before that, we worked on SGID. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. All right. So let's move on to next topic, which is okay. So the next topic with these folders we have is a sticky bit. I'll tell you what sticky bit means. Uh, okay, so let's take an example here. Um, let's do. I'm going to clear this, and there is a built-in folder called TMP, right? I'm going to do ls-ld/tmp. Okay, so this is a built-in folder. What happens here is it has all the read write, read write execute permission, and on top of that it has a little t here. The end permission, it has a little t, that means for everybody else. So what this temporary folder here is, anybody could create a file in here. Okay, so there are some files in here. So do I need this? No. Okay, so as a root, let me create a file here. Touch file 1. Okay, and then as another user, what I'm going to do is as a terminator, I'm going to go into that folder. Okay, there is a file in here. I'm going to do touch file 2. Okay, if I do ls-l, so over here it says like terminator is a user and group is user here. Let's try one more thing. As a regular user, I'm going to go into this folder again, and then I'm going to do ls-l. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one file here, touch file 3. Okay, so ls-l. So we have these permissions here. So the user is group here, and then, but if you look at the folder permissions here, okay, folder permissions for TMP folder. This permissions, owner, group, and others. Whoever is in this folder, they should be able to manage these files here. So let's see here, as a user, can I delete the file 2 here? Okay, so if I do rm-rf file 2, so I get the message here that says file 2 cannot be deleted here. So what the concept here is, the folder has full permissions here. Then at the same time, there is one other restriction, that what you could do is you could do whatever you want with the file, but you are not able to delete the file somebody else created. Okay, unless you are a root. So if a terminator wants to delete file 3, he won't be able to do it. He would be able to delete his own file, but he won't be able to delete the file created by others. Okay, so let's see here if a terminator is able to read the file here. Okay, okay, so what did I do? I was able to write into the file here. Okay, and I'm also able to execute the file. If this would have been a file, I have a full permissions, but I'm not able to delete this file here. There, so that's what is called sticky bit. Okay, so this is a delete protection. So sticky bit. So it's just referred to as sticky bit here. Okay, so you could do everything here. One thing which is sticking is you are not able to delete the file created by somebody else. So let's do that. Sticky bit. It is a delete protection. If you are not root or owner of the file, you cannot delete a file. Okay, so this is a folder level permission. So let's do this here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paste this here, and I'm going to say user. As a regular user, you're not able to delete this. Cannot remove file 2. Okay, Okay, so let's do this here. I'm gonna create a folder here, mkdir, and I'm gonna give a folder name, stocks. I'm gonna give a folder name finance. Okay, so I'm gonna go into that folder, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna match the full permissions here for this folder. If I do ls-ld/finance, okay, so this folder has read, write, execute, read, execute, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give full permissions here, okay? So chmod, I want to give the full permissions here. How am I going to do that? What I could do is a plus read, write, execute. Okay, and then I'm going to give it to finance. So if I do ls-ld finance, it has all the read, write, execute full privileges here. So anybody could go in and create whatever they want and delete whatever they want, and also delete the files created by somebody else here, okay? So it's right now the situation is free for all. Okay, so I created a folder, I went in there. Okay, and all right, so let's go ahead and create some files in here. Clear as a root. Let's try to create a file, touch file1. Okay, and as an administrator, touch file2. As a regular user, I'm going to clear this, touch okay, so I got touch file. Let me create touch file 2 here. So cd finance, touch file 2, okay? And here touch file 3. So as a let me try go ahead and remove this file here as a root. Okay, as a regular user, okay? rm-rf okay. So as a regular user, I just deleted a file created by root. Okay, so what is happening here is if you could delete the file, you could like read and write and execute whatever you want here. So there is a delete protection called sticky bit. So once you have a sticky bit on, what will happen is it will do only the delete protection here. You should still be able to do read, write, and execute the file here, okay? So one more time, sticky bit is nothing but a delete protection. So let me see here. Any questions so far?
Sir, just a quick question. Uh, if my file is deleted by from someone else, so is it possible that I can recover that file?
No,
No,
it's
no.
gone. Yeah,
Even root cannot do it.
no.
Okay, but is it possible that I can check it out that who did it actually?
Uh, you root will find out. Root should be able to do it.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so what usually do is that's a very good question, but I will save that for I'll save that for some other topic here. I think there is one more topic as a root. You could go in and find out who did what here. So there is let me finish this though. So what I'm gonna do here is now I'm gonna add a file. I'm gonna change the permission here. Okay, chmod. Okay, and then I'm gonna go. Okay, hold on. So this permission I'm gonna mess around with this here. So this is a other, right? So chmod o. Okay, I'm gonna do plus t as in tango finance. Okay. Now if you do ls-ld finance, you see a little t showed up here. Okay. So now this folder is delete protected by other users. Okay, so you should see a little T here. Now a little T is showing up there. So when you have a little T like for others, for owner, for other, what this means is now that folder is delete protection protected. So I'm going to create that file here, touch file 1 again, maybe touch file X. Okay, as a user, as a root, matter of fact. Alright, so let me go into as a user. I'm gonna do rm -rf, okay, file X. Okay, no, the file X doesn't exist, so filex. So I'm going to get, it says the operation is not permitted. Okay, is it clear enough? If you got questions, let me know. Okay, and this is normally a temporary folder here. By default, temporary folder is set with these permissions. Okay, all right. So this is good. Now the next topic I'm going to cover is file access control list. Okay, it's called FACLs. FACL, FACL. Okay, file access control list. Okay, so what is this sucker here? So let's take a look. So I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Looks good on your eyes. And so let's play around with this folder again, finance. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is okay, so what I'm gonna do is what should I do here? Let me start off with a let's see here. Let me create a new folder. So I'm going to do mkdir data. Oh, data is already there. Let me create a folder mkdir/hr. Okay, so human resource. And I do ls-ldhr. Okay, so look at this. Look at this permissions here. The permissions is for the folder, default folder, read, write, execute, and the owner is, user owner is read, write, execute. Okay, the group owner is read and execute. He doesn't have a write permissions. And others is the same thing as the group here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, as a regular user, you don't have a write permissions here. So what I'm going to do is, instead of giving permission directly to the entire folder, I'm going to give the permission to individual basis. If a person is if a user is there, he is able to create a file. If that user is not there in that particular folder permission, then he won't be able to create a file here or write a file here. Okay, so let's get to it. So how am I going to do this here? So first what you have to do is you have to run this command here. Okay, get file access control list, and I'm going to get it for HR. Okay, so in here, so over here what is saying here is, let's read through this. So the file is, it says HR, okay, and HR is a folder. Did I ever tell you the file and the directories in Linux, file and directories are file? Did I ever say that to you guys?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So if your coworker comes up to you and says, what is the file name, even though you know you're working with a folder, that means he means it's a folder. Okay, so remember that file and folder, the how the Linux handle and writes in the disk, or in, yeah, writes on the disk, is the same exact way. Okay, when you keep doing it a lot of times, this Linux thing, you will know the folder is also a file. Okay, so let's do this here. So over here, the file is HR name, owner is root, group is root. Okay, and then the user permission, which is owner. I don't know, they should have said this as owner, but owner is user here, and group is this much here. Pretty much it's just showing this, explaining the permissions here. Okay, so there's nothing new, it's just expanding it what is already there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a write permission to other and see if that user is able to write here. So let's go in here, let's go over to our favorite user. So we're going to go into cdhr, and I'm going to say touch file 1. So what you got this message here, says permission denied, which is what is supposed to. Anybody else right now at this moment, he doesn't have a specific permission to this folder, so the system did a right thing and denied the permission here. Okay, that's what is supposed to happen. So let me copy this, and okay guys, the way I'm putting this here, this information, is this readable after the class, or are you having any problems? Let me know, because if this information looks junk here, I could put I could like split this up. Okay, so this information is here, and terminator. Okay, so I'm gonna say expected denial for other user. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to give permission only to the user for that folder instead of giving the permission to the folder itself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the command, run this command here. Okay, set facle, set file action list. Okay, so the -m, and then I'm going to give to user u, and then who's the user here? Terminator. Okay, and then I'm going to give him the permissions read, write, execute, and then I'm going to which folder I'm going to give it to HR. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this command again. Now look at this here. So the user has a user terminator. He has a read, write, execute permissions here. Okay, so over here it gave us the same information but added the new line here. Okay, so let's copy this. Yeah, I got a question. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna no, I'm gonna close this here. I'm gonna go as a terminator. Okay, and then I'm gonna go touch file 1 and I'm able to create a file here. So this is based only on the per user. So if I am a regular user, I'm going to go into CDHR and then I'm going to say touch file 2. So I got the permission denied because the permissions are not set on the folder. The permissions are given per user for a specific folder. Okay, so that should help. And let me copy this. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a minute here and then ask you guys if you have any questions here. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I have the list of permissions here. Let's let me see if I could copy this here. Give me one moment here. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can, but nothing is moving actually. No, it is.
Okay, so so what I have here is a table here. What is user group, and U stands for user, GOA. Okay, and then the permission is read permission is 4, write permission is 2, execute is 1. Okay, and then you could do plus, minus, or equal to make all permissions. And these are the examples here what we have learned through, and then these are the number permissions. I find um, using numerical permissions is a little bit harder to do or than compared to this one here. So if you use a logical permissions here, this is much easier here. So you don't have to calculate the existing permission. When you're using the numerical, you have to calculate how much permission you have to keep for the existing permission also. So that's the only 11. Okay, good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna quickly go through these here and see if how things are gonna work. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say chmod, and I'm going to officially show you how this command works. So let me clear this. So I have ls-l. Okay. So I have this file here, right? So what I'm gonna do is, let's start off with this file here. So I'm gonna do so what I'm gonna do is grant permission to other. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is so I'm gonna do chmod, okay, and then I'm gonna do o plus w, okay, and then I'm gonna give file1. So what happened is only other would have a write permission here. Okay, and then let's do read permission for all. Chmod. I'm gonna do a. Okay, I'm gonna do plus r, and then file1. So I'm gonna do ls-l. So using this command, what I did was I gave read permissions to all of them. Okay, and then let me give full permissions to all. Chmod a plus, let's see what do we have here. A plus read write execute file1. So if I do ls-l, so everybody have full permissions here. What I want to do is I want to remove execute permissions for all of them. So chmod, okay, a minus x file1. Okay, so the execute permissions for all of them are gone. What do I do if I want to remove the permissions for all of them? I want to remove all the permissions here, so what do I do? So I want to remove all the permissions here, so it's simple. Alright, so you do chmod. Either you could do 000 file 1, because I find remembering the number is difficult here. So what you could do is a minus read write execute file1. So if you do ls-l, so we're back to the original. Okay, so let's do chmod 644 file. This is what we did. This is the permissions. These are what is this permission here? You guys knows this. This is a default permission. When the file is created, this is a default permissions that is granted by the system. Why? Because the UMass is set to 022. Okay, what else? So let's do the same permissions here. Uh, I want to add execute using the number here. So what would be the execute? I want to add execute to the existing permissions to all of them. So I'm going to do chmod. So right now the permission for user is read write, which is 4 and 2, and then I'm going to need to add 1. I'm sorry, 4 plus 2 is 6, and I want to add the execute permission, which is 1, so which is 7. And then this guy here is sitting at number 4, and then I want to add number 1 execute permission, which is 1. So what would be the number? 5. Same thing for the others too. 5 file 1. So if I do ls-l, so you added the execute permission here. So using the numbers is kind of icky here. You have to do the calculation in your head before you run the command here. So but if you use the logical way to do it rather than numerical way, then it's much better. Okay, so let me copy this part here. Okay, so let's talk about uh, the age of the password here. Okay, when do we set the password to change here? So if you want to look at the output when the user's credential is going to expire, what do you have to do? You have to type ch hyphen I, no, hyphen L, lowercase l, and then type terminator. All right, so let's take a look here. if you're looking at the user information here, password information here, what this is last password change. When was the password last change? Okay, and then it says password over here, it says never expire. Okay, password inactivity, is it gonna go inactive? No, it will never be inactive. Okay, is that account ever gonna be go in expires? It says never. Okay, and the minimum number of days between the password change is 0, and then a maximum number of days between password changes. So as long as the system is there, it's not going to force the user to change the password here, and it will, if it ever try to change it, is going to give you the warning 7 days before, 7 days before the this the password to change. Okay, so what I could do is let's do some changes here. So usually you change this around here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set the password to expire in 90 days. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is CHH hyphen M, and then I'm gonna say 90, and then I'm gonna give it a terminator. So let's take a look here. So what is happening here is the password is gonna expire 90 days from now. So if you do the math here, this should be 90 days from now here. Okay, May, June, July, August. August 7th will be 90 days. So the user will start getting 7 days prior to, he will start getting the on August 7th that your password is going to expire in 7 days. Okay, so what is this is every 90 days the password is going to change. The password will, the system will force it to change the password every 90 days. Okay, and what I could do also is I could set to expire to set so what I could do is right here, right, usually account, you should never leave this on either. So what I'll do is after password expiration days, 7 days after password has expired and the password is not changed, it will inactivate. So what I'm going to do is CHH hyphen uppercase I for ID, no, L. Okay, and then I'm going to say 7, and I'm going to say terminator. No, I'm going to say I here. Okay, so Okay, so let's read this through here. So last password, it was on May 9th, and then the password is going to expire on May 7th because it's set to 90 days. Okay, but before it's set to 7 here, so 7 days before the password expires, it will start warning you. Okay, so come August 1st, it will start warning you that the password is going to expire in 7 days. Okay, and after 7 days you still have not changed the password, the ID becomes disabled here, so you have to get the administrator for you to enable the ID. So I'm going to highlight this, this, and this. Okay, these are the most important things you have to worry about it here. Okay, all right, so I'm going to pause for a few minutes here. Anybody got a question? So we are at the end of this topic here. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna do is um, let's take a 5-minute break here, and then we'll start a very new topic here. Okay, so I'll be back in 5 minutes. And then let's see here. So what I'm gonna do is officially show you remember when we turned this on here, we didn't have access to the internet and the IP address was not there. So I'll show you how we do it officially. Okay, so let's let me just okay, so I'm gonna so it's called NIC configuration. So when we started, when we installed the system, and when we did ifconfig ipaddr, we didn't have the IP address here, right? The IP address was missing. It was showing up the information, but it was missing here. So how do you enable the IP information here? So what you have to do is you have to go to this folder cd. You know what? Hold on. What I'm gonna do is network yeah. Well, let's do this here. So what you do is you normally go to the folder cd slash etc. What is the etc folder known for? Anybody? Okay, so let me go back here first. So to identify the NIC card, network interface card, your network card, what you have to do is you have to type IPADDR and hit enter. So the number you are seeing here is number 1 over here is loop back. I'll explain that later. And then you have number 2, which is this name of this IP network card, and number 3 is this is the name of your network card here. Where is this information coming from? So if you go back here, you go into settings here, you go into network. This is adapter 1, which is this one here, and adapter 2 is this one here. Okay, so when you run this command here, if you're not seeing the IP address, you have 2 IP addresses for this system here. One is the one which is giving out by the router, and this is the one internal IP address which is set by here, which is set by your internal I'm sorry, the virtual box. It will create another adapter here which gives out the IP addresses. Okay, all right, nobody is talking anything, so everybody's still with me?
Yes.
Okay, so how do I do this here? You know what, actually I have to, let me clone this here. Let me shut this down, or let me just clone this here. Which one is better for me? Okay, I'm going to clone another machine here, okay? So we'll see how it goes. Uh, Okay, so I'm going to turn it on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into root, Red Hat. Okay, so what happened here is we already have this IP address showing up here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this down again and add another network card here. Okay, so I'm going to shut it down. So I'm going to go into settings and then network, and then I'm going to add the second network card, and I'm going to make sure it's the same thing, host only adapter, and this allow all, and host only Ethernet adapter. Okay, make sure you set I'm messing around with my system here, so I have more than one here, but if you have one, that's fine. If you have more than one, make sure you're doing the one with the adapter here. Okay, let me see if I could make this bigger. Okay, so it's big enough here. So I'm going to log in as root. Okay, I'm going to do IP ADDR. Okay, so the second one is also automatically showing here. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is not working, so hold on. Let's go back to my original. Let me clear this. cd etc sysconfig. Okay, so let's do this here. So all the network cards, whenever you have a NIC configuration file here, this is the place where the NIC configuration file stays. Okay, so what will happen here is this is the directory you have to come into, create a NIC configuration file here. So before that, let's define this. What is this? Okay, so if you type IP ADDR to check the available NICs. Okay, so anybody has any questions what a NIC stands for? NIC stands for is network interface card here, okay? You all seen the NIC card, right? NIC card. Okay, so on the back of a physical machine, you would have this as a port here where the Ethernet adapter plugs in. Okay, can I get a confirmation that you all know what this is? Ethernet adapter. Okay,
So
good.
this is actually a LAN card, right? Like
LAN
it's
card,
a NIC
yes.
card. Oh, okay. I was just like a little bit confused.
So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
got it.
but this is officially in good terms. It's called network interface card.
Okay.
Okay, most of the time it's coming built in on the system board. Okay.
Okay.
So what happens in Linux is when card is enabled here, it is not automatically enabled here. So it won't give you the IP address here. So if I type IP DDR, so this system has, this is a virtual. Don't worry about this. When you type this here, and when you look at this here, it has a two IP address, two NIC cards in here. One is ENP0S3 and other one is ENP0S8. Okay, so this file, this configuration file is sitting in the folder, this folder here. Okay, this is the location of a NIC configuration file. Okay, so what you're gonna do is I do ls here, and you see this NIC configuration file here. So most of the time what you do is you go in here, and this file should have this information here: Ethernet, type Ethernet, boot proto DHCP. Okay, dynamic host control protocol, and the name is, this is what the name is. Name of the network card is ENP0S3, and UUID is giving you the UUID also, and device. Let's take a look what UUID is. UUID. Why is it showing us a UUID at this moment here? Okay, so UUID is not needed here. So for the system to work effectively, these are the things you need to have here in the network interface configuration file here. Type, you have to give it Ethernet. Boot protocol is DHCP. We will learn more when I cover the networking, okay? And the name is the network interface card name, and then the device name is ENP0S3, and on boot is yes. So remember, when we first started this off, on boot was set to no. When it was set to no, that means you won't get a IP address. Okay, so let's do this here. Let me restart the system and see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna go to cd/etc/sysconfig network. So I'm gonna put this down here, the example of network configuration file. Okay, and these are the essential things you need inside the file for it to be working here, okay? So okay, so what is happening here is these are the essential items you need inside the NIC configuration file for it to be working here, okay? So what I'm going to do here is, this is the way this is set up is dynamic. Okay, so what does dynamic means? It says DHCP. So what does DHCP stands for? DHCP. Okay, so this is dynamic dynamic host control protocol. Okay, so in this case the IP is assigned by, give me 1 second here, the AC got on. The IP address is assigned by router. Okay, your router inside your home. In this case, in the case of the in the case of this Oracle VirtualBox, you know who is assigning the IP address? I'll show you. Where is the IP address coming from? Remember when the class started, we went into the network configuration, right, of the Windows. We went here, we went into properties, and over here we went here, and then we went into network. Okay, and then we went into where did we go? Okay, so we went here and we went into network adapters. So what this does is when you install the VirtualBox, this is the router. This is supposedly a router for your VirtualBox. And if you go into properties here, or if you double click here and view network status here, so this is where the address is being assigned here, 192.168.56.1, and all the addresses will be below this 56 dot whatever it is. Okay, so our IP address is, after 56, whatever this router is assigning, this number will be our IP address here. Up until here, all the information will be same, and this information will keep changing depending on the network interface cards you have here. So if you have another virtual machine, it will be different number. Okay, this is 141. If I start up another machine here, it will be different number. It will assign it randomly. Assigned by router randomly. Okay. But what I want to do is, I want to assign the IP address. So this IP address, it could change anytime. Okay, but I want to assign the IP address which never changes. Okay, so there is a way you could do that. Okay, so what will happen, all of a sudden the IP address has changed. Okay, for the system here, so which will be very bad in the production environment. If you have like an application running and all of a sudden the IP address of the system has changed, what will happen is it will be very bad for the application, because it will break the application and people will not be able to connect. Okay, so in that scenario, what you have to do is you have to assign the IP address, physically attach the IP address so that the IP address will not change. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take a look at this. Go into the file, and I'm gonna go ls. So I'm gonna take this file here, and I'm gonna do vi. Okay, so this one, it says Ethernet. I'm gonna say on boot. I'm gonna change it to static. Okay, and then what is the device name? Device name and the device name is gonna remain the same. Okay, and here what you have to do is you have to get the hardware address. How do you get the hardware address? Okay, so in here there is an alphanumeric number here. This is the alphanumeric number that is only assigned per, it will be the unique for each, this will be unique for each hardware, each network card. If you have a different network card, it will be different here. So let's take a look here. If you're looking at the different network card, it will be different here. So this is actually called a MAC address, and this address will never change, but the IP address will change here. The system knows that this is the MAC address for the particular device, and you could assign that specific IP address to it. So I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to go on the new line, and I'm going to say hardware ADDR equals this. And what I want to do is I want to give the IP address to IP ADDR. Since we are assigning the static IP address, we have to give the IP address here. So I want to give 192.168.56.100. Okay, right now the IP address of my system is so IP address of my machine for this hardware is 192.168.56.41. Okay, I want to make sure I could give you 100 here so that it doesn't change. Okay, and you have to give the net mask. What is net mask? We'll learn more in the networking class, but where do we get the net mask here? Okay, so when you look in here, 192 broadcast. Let's see here if config. Net mask. Let's go in here, network configuration. No, not this one here. Okay, so this is where the subnet mask is listed. IPv4 net mask is subnet Net mask is nothing but subnet mask. And 255.255.0. Most of the network, you should comfortably put this number in it here. Okay, when you're practicing it, go ahead and put this number here. You should be fine. Or you could come back here and take a look. So let's see here. So I'm going to go back in here into my file, network configuration file. I'm going to put down net mask is 255.255.255.0. Okay, so this is the information, essential information you need for setting up a static IP address. Okay, so this IP is specifically assigned manually to the host. Okay, and this will not change randomly. Okay, so let me go here. And okay, so you have to say IP static. This is the difference between the above one and this one here. And the hardware address. This is my big difference. This is a big difference. And this is a big difference. Matter of fact, all these lines are, you have to add this. Okay? Alright, so before that happens, what you have to do is you have to, let's look at IP ADDR and at 100 here, 141. So we need 100 here. So we just restart the system here. So when it reboots, 141 may not work. We have to put down 100. Okay, so I'm going to type root. Okay, now you see here the IP address is 100. So let me close this. And over here, I'm going to load this. I'm going to change it to 100. I'm going to save it. I'm going to open it. Yep. And it says 100. So if I look at the IP ADDR, we have successfully changed the IP address for the system here. Why did we do this? Because we want to keep the system safe, that when something happens, that there is a network blip or something, it doesn't get a IP address assigned randomly. Okay, if it gets assigned randomly, what is it called? It's called dynamic. So what we have done here is, this is what you will be seeing in the most of the system. It will be a static IP address.
So this is more likely a virtual machine.
Mm,
Like like I'm just allowing a user on a static IP, giving him an IP and user allowing him to go into the database, work on it, and come back
no,
like that.
no. This we are assigning the IP address. Every system has an IP address, right?
Yes.
So we are manually assigning this. If you look at your own IP address, it was randomly assigned by the router, but we are picking the IP address we need and we assigned it manually here. Okay.
So, but what is the reason why we are assigning the IP address?
I
Like
told
we have an option like randomly.
Yeah, I told you, there is a, if there is a network blip or something, what the router does is it assigns the IP address randomly here, right here. It's assigned randomly.
Yes.
Okay, and if there is a network blip or whatever may happen, the system may lose the IP address, and then the network reassigns those IP addresses randomly. Okay,
Okay.
to prevent that being randomly assigned, what we do is we assign it manually here. One other thing is, every so often, what the router does, it goes on the network and sees if IP address is not being used here, it will take away that IP address from the device. How would it know to take away the IP address from the device? It will keep track using the MAC address.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we
Okay.
get into networking, we will talk about more here. But for now, go ahead and configure this for this week. I want you to actually go ahead and mess around with this and assign your own IP here. You don't have to use 100 here, okay? Just use common sense. This part will remain the same here. It may be different for you, okay? It may be different for you, but follow the same pattern, and then change the last octet of your IP address and change around and see what happens, okay?
So whenever I am just assigning a IP to the user, so it's a static IP, I know that, but it's gonna be same
Yeah, once it's
because
static,
I
it will not
because I
change.
give it to him.
Yeah, yeah, it will not change when it's static.
And what if this user is not available anymore? So
No,
is it
you're
possible
not
that I
assigning
can?
to the user. You are assigning to the system, the entire system.
Y- y- yes, it means entire system. So if that entire system is not available anymore, so can I just give this IP to the another system?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay,
Very good.
okay.
This comes in when you're decommissioning the system here. If the system is like 10 years old, you want to get rid of it, and then you could reuse that IP address here. Okay, very good. Very good. I'm impressed. So I'm gonna break this down here and explain you what each of this here. We have another. Give me 2 minutes here, so I'll be done with this. Okay, just hang on. So I'm gonna explain here Okay, over here it says type Ethernet. So type Ethernet is Ethernet, okay? This is not gonna change. Okay, and then it says boot proto. So this is a protocol. Okay, we'll learn more this here. Either this is gonna be either dynamic or static or static. Okay, name is the name. It could be any name, but usually it follow in Red Hat 7, it follows the same pattern here, enp0s, and then this will change, enp0s 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever. Okay, this part is assigned. This part won't change. The system will assign it based on this MAC address, but you could see when you type IPADDR, you would see this information here. Okay, name is name. Okay, and device is same as name. Okay, so use IPADDR to find out. Okay, on boot, either it could be yes or no. If this is, you have to keep it this as yes, so that the system will get the IP address. Okay, and then hardware address. Okay, and this is the MAC address. Actually, hardware address is called MAC address, MAC address. Okay, IP address. So this one is um, for static IP. And if you don't have this, then it won't. It will randomly give you the IP address, but it won't keep that IP address. Okay. And net mask is network mask. And usually this is 255.255.255.255.0. Okay, that's all you need for you at this moment. And so go ahead and practice this. I want you guys to definitely practice this and come up with any questions. And if you have any questions, put it in chat. Okay. All right. So today I'm going to end here, and we'll pick it up next week. You got a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm just a little bit confused. So you just highlighted this thing, ENP0S8. So this is one system, right?
No, this system has two network cards attached,
Okay.
ENP03 and ENP08. So ENP08, this one is being this one we are using to go outside the internet. I'm sorry, go to the outside world using internet, and this is inside network. So if you have this IP address, you are able to go outside the network. Well, I will explain you when we do a network class. Okay.
Okay, okay. I
So
thought I was just confused a bit. So yeah,
yeah,
no, I get it.
very good question. You have ENP03 and 08. Where is this coming from? It's coming from here. So when you go on this system here and go into settings, network, you could have up to 4 here in this system. So this is 1 and this is 2. Number 3 and number 4 is not enabled. Number 1 and number 2 is enabled. Number 1 is ENP03 and number 2 is ENP08. Okay?
Okay.
And if you
So
add number
that means
3,
the so that means the more you're gonna have a like a LAN cards in your PC, you can have a more systems.
more IP address, yeah.
Yeah, more IP addresses. Okay.
Okay, refer these two IP addresses. Okay, good. Very good.
Okay.
All right, please use the chat, and I am expecting everybody to, get, uh, uh, get stuck somewhere and ask questions. So please do that. Okay, this is gonna be only for your own benefit. All right, I'm gonna
And
end
yes,
here. Yeah, go ahead.
and sir, we just completed that administrator part, full administrator part,
Yeah,
like a Linux administrator.
we no, I mean just the administration. We're gonna go into the services and there's a lot of other things I'm gonna be going through.
So this is all still Linux is going on right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Another 3 months is gonna be Linux.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna end here and then I'm gonna upload this as soon as I can. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
Love.